alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. My name is Sara Khan, and today I'll be hosting a little writing and illustrating workshop based on my latest series, Let's Visit the Three Sacred Mosques. Now, before I start, I just want to quickly introduce myself and the books I've written so that you get a better idea of what they are. I've been writing children's books for 10 years now, alhamdulillah, and they're all written for toddlers and younger children, so they're not quite your target age group. They're based on the 5 pillars of Islam, and we started with my first book about the Quran, my first book about Allah, my first book about Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, my first book about Ramadan, Hajj, Salah, and charity. They're also available as a box set now, and then we created a first Islamic memory game and a jigsaw puzzle to go along with the series. And then a couple of years ago, I also published a book about Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr with Quarto Kids, which is best known for the Little People, Big Dreams series, which you might have heard about. And then my latest series is Let's Visit the Three Sacred Mosques pop-up collection, which basically includes Let's Visit Masjid al-Haram, Let's Visit Masjid al-Nabwi, and Let's Visit Masjid al-Aqsa. Now, my inspiration for these books to write, and this is what's going to be important for when you're actually doing the writing exercises, is where do these ideas come from for writing? My idea came from the importance of based on the latest series, the importance of these three sacred sites in Islam and my own travels to these beautiful mosques. So this was me in Masjid al-Haram, Masjid al-Nabwi, and Masjid al-Aqsa. And the idea of having a cat follow you around, this is the next one, having a cat follow you around the three sacred masjids came from the fact that there are lots of cats all over Masjid al-Haram, Masjid al-Nabwi, and Masjid al-Aqsa. And so what I did was I wrote 3 books based on these mosques where a cat takes you around these holy sites. Now, 2 questions I'd like you to think about before we start turning into authors and illustrators ourselves today. Has anyone here been to any of the 3 sacred mosques? Put your hands up if you've been to Masjid al-Haram or Masjid al-Nabwi. So quite a few of you have been to Masjid al-Haram, Masjid al-Nabwi already. What about Masjid al-Aqsa? Has anybody been to Masjid al-Aqsa as well? MashaAllah, somebody's been at the back as well. Yeah, somebody at the front too. That's great. Now, if you could visit one of these mosques today, which one would you choose and why? Have a think about which mosque you would choose if you were able to choose one of these mosques to visit today, and why you would want to visit that particular masjid. And I think you've all got notebooks and pens in front of you. So what we're going to do for the first exercise is think about visiting one of the 3 sacred mosques for the very first time. What do you see, hear, and feel? I want you to think about when you're visiting these masjids, what would you feel, see, and hear when you're there? And I want you to write non-stop for 3 to 4 minutes and focus on the feelings and senses, what you can see, hear, smell, and notice. Don't worry about the spelling, and just write down your ideas, inshallah. if you need any inspiration, just think about, I'll put on, 1 second, let me just maybe put some pictures up of the masjids to describe what you can see and what you can hear and feel while you're there for the first time. So those of you who have been to these masjids already, you can think about what it felt like when you first visited. And those of you who haven't been, just look at the pictures and think about how you would feel if you were to visit these holy sites. And just to put a little bit of pressure on you, I would like some of you to come up and share what you've written, if you don't mind. If you do, then I will read some of what I've written. Obviously, my books are targeted at younger children. You can write for any target audience. You can write for people your own age, or children, or older children, teenagers, whatever your target audience is, that's absolutely fine. Now I'm going to start going around the tables a little bit and see how you're getting on, inshallah. What have you guys decided to write about? Which masjid?
Any? I haven't really chosen.
Okay, that's absolutely fine as well. Okay, so it's not going to be one of the three Okay, so who has written about visiting Masjid al-Haram? Have you written about visiting Masjid al-Haram? Would you like to share what you wrote? Yeah? Let's see.
For like, when you go in there, you'll see like the Kaaba, and then when you hear them, you're either hearing people talking or praying in the masjid. If you smell, sometimes they'll put on perfume or some perfume, and you'll notice like the vastness of the masjid and the big crowd.
That's amazing. So you've done like a plan in terms of what you can see at Masjid al-Haram, what you can hear at Masjid al-Haram, and what you can smell at Masjid al-Haram, and what you can notice there. So that's really good. Well done. Thank you. So if you're at the planning stage of writing, or you're writing a little paragraph based on what you've jotted down already, Is there anybody that would like to share? Yeah, you would like to share yours? What did you write about?
I did, you can smell oud.
Oud, yes, very nice.
I did, you can see different types of mosques as well.
Different types of mosques. Yep. Is that in Masjid al-Haram, or where did you write about?
Masjid al-Aqsa.
Masjid al-Aqsa, oh yeah, so in the whole complex there are different buildings and you can see them all as part of that big site, can't you? So you've written that down, that's very good, thank you for sharing. Anybody else has any ideas written down of what you can see, feel, smell and hear in Masjid al-Haram or Masjid al-Nabawi or Masjid al-Aqsa? Does anyone want to share from this table? No? Nobody would like to share what they've written? I see you've written quite a lot there, some of you. I won't pick on anybody, I won't be mean. There's somebody that wants to share at the front, so I'll come over there just a second. Yeah. Did you want to share what you wrote?
Yes, I did something really small. Oh, and if it's about in the future tense. When I go to Masjid al-Haram, I'm going to see a lot of cats. I will play Jummah with my family and do Umrah. I might have something as well.
That's beautiful. Have you been to Masjid al-Haram yet? Inshallah, you get to go soon. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Okay, anybody else? One more person if you'd like to share what you've written, yeah?
I wrote like kind of a small paragraph. It says, the Kaaba before you step in the place and feel a rush of peace. The prayers being said the sight before you makes you cry because of how grateful you are to Allah to grant you to visit His home. You feel like never before. You start praying like never before. So you can make every moment. The smell of oud and prayer, people praying makes you never to leave.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that, for sharing that. Thank you. That's beautiful. Okay, two more have their hand up over here, and then we'll move on to the next exercise. Yeah.
A glistening gold dome, sparkling in the heat of the sun, contrasting with the cold tiles underfoot. A cat slinks past, basking in the holy sanctuary of the Dome of the Rock, Quran echoing in a melodious tune, calming and peaceful.
That's absolutely beautiful. That's based on Masjid al-Aqsa, isn't it? Beautiful. I really like your descriptive wording as well, the way you've described the Golden Dome. That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Okay, last one. What did you write?
Can I say all of it?
Yeah, you can.
As soon as I come out of the airport, it's boiling hot, bustling with cars and people. And after the plane, I feel quite hungry after that 8-hour flight. So I got this traditional food called kabsa, and it tasted amazing. I got on a bus, and the air conditioning wasn't that good, but it's something for 100 dirhams. As soon as I got there, it was Asr, and there were so many people that people were praying on the streets. I prayed there, and there it is, the Kaaba. It was massive, like 3 elephants, massive. Thank you.
MashaAllah, that's amazing, and I like the humor in what you've written there as well about visiting Masjid al-Haram for the first time. Have you already been there?
Yes.
Okay, MashaAllah, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Right, so we'll move on to the next exercise. By the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning, if you wanted to, you could also sketch a quick scene from what you imagined. So if you're stuck for what to write on the next one, you can also sketch out a scene based on what you've written so far and what you've imagined so far about visiting the sacred mosques for the very first time. Now, what the next exercise is going to be is building upon what you've already written, but we're going to be thinking about writing a short children's story which includes all three of these three different story builders: the character, the setting, and the value or the challenge. So think about what kind of character you want to write about. So based on what you've already written in the previous exercise, think about who your character is. Is it yourself, or is it somebody else that you're writing about, or is it a cat like I wrote about? It could be a curious child, it could be a nervous first-time visitor, or it could be a child traveling with family, or it could be a child hearing stories from their grandparent. If you haven't been yourself, it could just be based on what your grandparents told you about these different mosques. And then in terms of the setting, you could choose the Kaaba in Masjid al-Haram, the Prophet's Mosque in Medina, Masjid al-Nabwi, or the Masjid al-Aqsa. And in terms of a value or a challenge, think about if you want to write about patience or courage or gratitude or respect or kindness. These are all just things for inspiration. So think about how you want to build upon the ideas you already jotted down, and let's extend that further. Try and have a clear beginning, middle, and end, and try and have a meaningful moment or lesson in the story that you're writing, and also a strong sense of place and feeling. And if you want to draw your favorite scene from your story, like a page from a real children's book, you can do as well. Obviously, you've only got pencils, so it's just sketching those out at the moment. Oh, you've got pens? Okay, that's fine. But you can, what I mean is you don't have coloring, so you can't actually think about what colors you would use, but you can think about the kind of rough sketches of how you would illustrate the scene that you're writing about. And just one tip as well, as you're writing, think about how to show but not necessarily tell. So instead of saying something like she felt peaceful, you could say something like she slowed her steps, listened to the quiet prayers around her, and smiled softly. So that's describing how she felt peaceful rather than saying she felt peaceful, if that makes sense. And we've got another couple of examples. Instead of saying he was grateful, you could say something else. What could you say instead of saying he felt grateful? Can you think of something? Yep, somebody's got an idea.
You could say like gratitude bubbled up inside his chest or something.
That's really good. Gratitude bubbled up inside his chest. You could say something like that, yeah? That's really good. Or you could say he whispered Alhamdulillah, which means all praise be to God, and we say that when we're feeling grateful. So that's another way. And then think about how you could say she felt nervous. I can see a lot of activity on table number 5. I will definitely be asking you to read out what you've written, at least one of you, and not the one that already read their story. So I've gone back to the screen with the character, the setting, and the value or the challenge. Think about what you want to write about in the beginning, middle, and end of your story. Yes? Yeah, absolutely. You can write it, yes, you can write it in first person. So you can write it like a diary entry, write it in first person. You can absolutely do that. You can also write it in third person, and you could also write it in second person. It's completely up to you. Try and get back on your chair. This is the longest exercise that we're doing as part of this workshop, so really try and take your time with it. Try and be descriptive. Yes? So first person, if you're writing like, for example, a diary entry and you're saying, I visited the Kaaba for the first time today. So it's I, using all from your first person perspective. Second person is you. So if you say, if it's directed at another person, so you would love it if you came here. That's very rare in terms of writing it as a story. And then it's third person, if you've got a character, for example, Bilal, and Bilal visits the Kaaba for the first time, then it's written in third person. So it's talking about somebody else. He, she, they, yes, that would be third person. Thank you for that question. What I'm going to do while you're writing, although it might be difficult, is read out a couple of pages from my books, and that way it might inspire you to write further. So you could take a little break and just listen, or you could carry on writing, use it as inspiration. So for example, let's visit Masjid al-Haram. It's written from the perspective of this cat called Hurera, and it starts off saying, my name is Hurera, and today I will show you around Masjid al-Haram, the most sacred mosque in the world. Masjid al-Haram is home to the Kaaba, which Muslims all over the world face towards during the 5 daily prayers. I love to admire this cube-shaped structure, which is covered by the kiswa, a black silky cloth embroidered with gold verses from the Holy Quran. Did you know the Kaaba was the first mosque built by Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail alayhi salam, as commanded by our one and only God, Allah? Masjid al-Haram is in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Many people come to visit Masjid al-Haram for Hajj and Umrah. Sometimes it gets really busy, but I don't mind as long as I can get to my favorite spot just above the Zamzam station. There is so much to explore and see in and around Masjid al-Haram. Let me show you the most important places. And then we've got like a pop-up on this page, and it shows you the most important places in Masjid al-Haram: the Kaaba, the Zamzam well, the Black Stone, Maqam Ibrahim, the Safa and Marwa hills. When I'm not drinking Zamzam, I like to watch pilgrims complete the tawaf around the Kaaba, listening to their most heartfelt prayers while I'm curled up quietly on the side and catching glimpses of them smiling at me as they walk past. Masjid al-Haram is one of the biggest buildings in the world. It has tall minarets, many gates, beautiful ceilings, a floor so shiny I can see my reflection in it, and lots of soft carpets where people can pray and where I can stretch my paws. Masjid al-Haram has been around for a very long time. Every few years it gets bigger and bigger to welcome more and more visitors. I pray that one day soon it welcomes you too. So that's written for a much younger audience. You will be able to tell by the language used that this is targeted at toddlers and young children. And inshallah, your writing will reflect your own target audience that you're writing for, which could be young children or it could be older children. There's some sketching going on here. Very nice. So if you've written your story, you can think about sketching out a scene from that story. What's that?
A non-Muslim girl named Alina dreams about going to a Muslim sacred place, but her parents don't let her.
Oh, that's a very interesting concept. So it's a non-Muslim girl that's learning about going to a sacred place in Medina. That's really nice, interesting. Thank you. Wow, did you just sketch that now? Oh no, I was very surprised and impressed there because that looks beautiful. Very nice. So does anybody want to already start sharing what they've written? Is anybody already ready to start sharing? Or do you need a little bit more time? If you're ready to start sharing, put your hand up. There is somebody eager to share already. So we'll start with you.
My story.
You want to share the plot of your story, yeah?
I am a curious child going near the Prophet's mosque in Medina. The challenge is to find his parents because he's lost in the Masjid of Nabawi because it's so humongous. And on courage is a strong sense of... Wait, what is it?
Courage is your value or challenge. The challenge, isn't it? That he needs courage to find his parents and be in that situation.
Also, he discovers the secrets of the Prophet's mosque in Medina. Thank you.
That's amazing. So I think we can all relate to that. If we were going to Masjid al-Haram or Masjid al-Nabawi or Masjid al-Aqsa, and we know it's a very busy place, if we get separated from our parents, that would definitely require a lot of courage and bravery to try and find them. So inshallah that doesn't happen, we pray, but that's a really interesting plot for a story. Thank you for sharing. Does anybody else want to share their plot or their finished story? Yeah?
It's just like the start of the story. It's about a girl called Sara who's 6 years old. That's the start of the story. Sara runs to her grandma's room, not forgetting to knock on the door before going in. But grandma's asleep. She thinks, should I wake her up? but I really want to hear today's story. She starts to get impatient. She starts cold sweating even though it's not cold or hot. She starts fiddling with her dress. Then she remembers her mama say, Sara, always remember to be patient. You always get the reward. Sara finally calms down and closes the door. She goes downstairs and sits in the living room and starts watching when suddenly a beautiful and eye-hurting shine covers the TV. When the shine clears, she sees a magnificent mosque. She reads the headline, Mosque Aqsa, she whispers to herself. Sara knows exactly what her story today is going to be about. Sara waits patiently, trying very hard not to jump with excitement when her grandma calls her to her room.
That's beautiful. So this is the start of your story. So you've decided to write about Masjid al-Aqsa, and it's a girl that has just seen it on TV. That's how it starts. So that's a beautiful beginning, and I love all the dialogue. Thank you for sharing.
It was about Masjid al-Aqsa. The excitement and anticipation was more than a feeling. It strung through the air in a way which no heart was lost from it. A buzz of conversation had turned into voices swelling with tears, flowing with happiness, and soaked in a love with words that came to my mind and encompassed fully. My own heart hammered, not from fear, but from that shivering sensation of meeting a long-awaited destination, a place where the greatest of mankind had offered no salah. Raising my garmented head to watch my parents, and then that's all that got.
That's beautiful. Well done. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to share? I will ask you to share, but just before you, is there anybody that hasn't shared anything that would like to share? Yeah? You've shared as well, haven't you? But both of you get to share, don't worry.
Medina sat around her grandmother, impatient to start her story. She was in her house in Medina, waiting for her grandmother to describe going to Masjid al-Haram for Umrah. She heard it a million times, but she loves the feeling as if she is there with grandmother Asha. When you go to the center, you'll see the glorious Kaaba, the sound of the fellow brothers and sisters talking or praying, or even reciting du'as can please anyone. As you venture in, you will smell traditional perfume worn by brothers and sisters alike. Obviously, you'll see the vastness of the masjid. This always amazes Medina.
That's beautiful, really lovely, and I can really imagine being there and smelling the perfumes and the oud and seeing the vastness of the masjid. That's beautiful. I love the description. I love the vocabulary you use. Thank you for sharing. I'll let you share as well now. And you've drawn a scene there as well. So if you share what you've written and explain your scene as well.
I made it about my cousin instead. And now, this is about me so far, but my cousin will be bursting with energy. He'll probably jump around, stop by nothing, pray every day, and rush around all day, and probably beg for it not to end. He will never be patient, running around, and they will probably yell at him.
Who will probably yell at him? Sorry, I didn't quite catch the ending.
I will probably yell at him.
And is that the Kaaba? You drew the Kaaba there, and what's this scene? That's food for the cat. Ah, okay, you did the previous exercise as well. Well done, that's really lovely. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sketching it. Does anybody else like to share what they've written? Or do you want to just tell us what character, setting, and challenge you chose? Just a quick plot, yeah, you would like to share?
So mine's just about this girl, and she's just taking in like the beauty of Masjid al-Haram, and she's just like filled with gratitude at like how beautiful it is and how blessed she is to be there.
That's beautiful. So it's her feelings towards Masjid al-Haram and how beautiful it is. Thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else want to share what they wrote about? Is there anybody here? Yeah? What did you write about?
Basically, my brother's too shy to raise his hand. He would like to share, like.
You want to? So what? Don't be shy, don't be shy. We're all here to write and be creative together. And actually, this is why we're doing this. I'm not going to be talking too much about myself and my books. I just wanted you to all start writing and think about what scene you would want to write about. Start thinking about what pictures you would draw to go along with your story, and share your work with us. Is there anybody else yet?
I wrote something similar to like what he wrote, but this person, she's in a group and she gets lost and she starts doubting what if Allah is leading her in the right way, because she prayed and she made dua in her prayer. Should I say the first beginning? There I was, standing face to face with a landmark of beauty and knowledge. Allahu Akbar, I whispered. The black and gold cloth shimmered in the scorching hot surrounding. The call awakened me from my daydream. The words that remind us of prayer recited by Bilal radiallahu anhum for the first time. My eyes scanned where I stood. Where were they? Where was I? Everyone pushed and shoved me, trying to get enough space. Excuse me, sorry, they said. An emotion swelled up in my stomach that felt as if the world had flipped over. I wanted to pray, but I didn't know where. Everyone started to pray. Only I was left behind. So I prayed. I reached for Allah's help to lead me and put me in the right place. After the salah ended, I was in chaos of the crowd game. My thoughts whirled. How was I going to find them? I know Allah would help me, but what if my group leaves without me?
That's amazing. And again, that's a really good idea for a plot. What would you do if you were in Masjid al-Haram, Masjid al-Nabawi or Masjid al-Aqsa and you got separated from your group? That's a really interesting situation, isn't it? Right. There's one more person who would like to share something. Yeah?
Nanabai, yes. Tell me about when you got lost at Al-Aqsa. Nanabai shifted in his chair and sighed, wary of the many times he repeated his story. All right, but you mustn't interrupt like you always do. He suppressed an urge to ruffle his granddaughter's hair and began his story. When I was 7, just about your age, my parents and I visited the glorious complex of Al-Aqsa. We had just hopped off of a plane, and your Barama was rushing to get to Al-Aqsa. My dad was complaining about how he hadn't eaten his lunch, and my brother was bristling with excitement, and as was I. In the end, my dad had to wait for his lunch, moaning all the way to Al-Aqsa. Did he want shakshuka or olives or zitar or... Oops. Nanabai raised his eyebrows and asked, may I continue? Asma nodded sheepishly. Anyway, when we got there, I ran off in a random direction, thinking my family was following me. I ran past where Burak was tied, imagining how magnificent it was when I stopped dead in my tracks. Where was my parents? I ran frantically, past the glistening golden dome of the rock. I found my parents in the end. Where were they? Asked Asma. It turned out that my dad was so hungry, he led my family to the nearby restaurant, and guess what? What? Asked Asma, bouncing up and down. It was full of cats.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. You wrote 3 pages there. That's fantastic. And I liked how you incorporated the glistening dome again in your story. So that's one way of doing writing, actually, is having these ideas, jotting them down, and then reworking them and editing them and redrafting. So well done for that. Thank you for sharing. Right. So it's fantastic how you've all been able to write down your ideas, and I really like the different ideas you've got. Mashallah. I also like the illustrations that some people have drawn. And so we've done who would like to share their writing with us. And what I wanted to ask as well is think about what you liked about other people's writing. So something that I've done while learning to write is get feedback from my peers. So it's always helpful to see what somebody else thought of what I wrote. So even in your own table, if you weren't... oh, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. So giving feedback is a great way to improve your own writing and just keep developing it further. So this was the point of that exercise. So thank you for all taking part in that. Now, what I want you to do is just think a little bit about what did your character learn from their journey? So some of these questions might not apply to everyone, but depending on what you wrote, think about what did your character learn from their journey? And why are the 3 sacred mosques special to Muslims? And which part of the journey stayed with you the most? So think about what resonated the most based on what you wrote. And now I've got another closing challenge for you, which is basically thinking about a 6-word story. So think about how to write one, just summarize what you've written in 6 words. So, for example, 3 sacred mosques, 1 unforgettable journey. That could be the title, a 6-word kind of story. Or it could be small traveler, big heart, lasting memory. A journey of faith, love, and awe. So think about having a 6-word story to summarize what you've had written down already. And also, as a closing thought, think about a title for what you wrote. So that could be 1 exercise or 2 exercises. If you want to use the 6-word story as your title, you can do, or you can just think about a separate title as well for your story. And if anybody wants to share the 6-word story, put your hand up and I'll come round quickly. And then it's time for breaking up for lunch soon. So if you're getting... So if anybody wants to share their 6-word story, yeah.
A story written with descriptive speech.
A little bit louder.
A story written with descriptive speech.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Somebody else at the back will come to you, don't worry.
I went to Masjid al-Haram. Yay.
Very good. 6 words, yeah.
A kitten that went to Al-Harama.
Very good. Thank you for sharing. So thank you all for sharing. As a closing message, I just wanted to say that stories help us remember special places and important values. Our words and drawings can carry love, learning, and reflection. And creativity can help us connect to our faith in a beautiful way. And I've seen lots of you have written so many beautiful things about the description of the Masjid al-Haram, Masjid al-Nabawi and Masjid al-Aqsa, and the connection that we have with these special places, and that's really beautiful to see. And I hope I've inspired you to write about those, or you can obviously write about other things as well, but it's just a way to get you thinking about something. And it was wonderful to have you all share your work, and thank you for listening and taking part. Jazakallah khair.
So very loudly everybody say Jazakallah to Sara.